And the answer
Hello everyone, it is Latoya here and I'm excited to be chatting with you today. Hopefully you are doing well and feeling encouraged, inspired, and empowered. And if not, hopefully you will by the time you end this video. And speaking of this video, I mean, you already clicked, right? So make sure to like this video, share, and subscribe to my channel. And when you do, make sure to turn on those notifications so that you will not miss when I upload another video. So with all of that said, I also want you to keep in mind that anything that I say on this channel is based on my experience and my knowledge, and therefore my opinion. So let's keep it positive in the comments down below, and let's just encourage each other. That's all I want. This is a safe space. So now that all the housekeeping is done and out of the way, let's get into today's topic, where I will be answering the question, can anyone become a virtual assistant? And the answer is no. Yes, that's right. I said no. And don't at me, because again, this is based on my opinion. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to be discouraging to anyone or anything like that. What I'm trying to do is be realistic. I want you to make sure that you're setting realistic expectations for yourself and for your possible clients. So let's talk about what a virtual assistant is in its purest form. A virtual assistant, in my mind, is someone who, say, for instance, you've been an administrative assistant in the corporate world, and then you take that administrative assistant out of the corporate world and you put them in a work from home environment. That is someone that is a virtual assistant. And so what are the tasks that a typical admin assistant would be doing? A typical admin assistant is going to do calendar management for their manager. They're going to book travel for their manager. They're going to help with presentations for their manager or even for their team, because a lot of administrative professionals in the corporate world work for multiple people, right? They will do communications on behalf of the manager to their department, as well as if they have a client group within the organization. They will plan meetings for their manager. They might plan even events, major events. It just depends on, the department that you're working in or the company that you're working for. Obviously, they do more administrative specific tasks like ordering the office supplies or doing expense reporting and possibly getting invoices paid. All of these things that I'm describing are typical tasks of an administrative assistant in the corporate world, and it is designed to help the manager that they're supporting run the department. So it's the same thing when you think of it as a virtual assistant. You take that administrative assistant out of that corporate environment, out from that department, and you put them as, say, sitting at my desk, or I'm sitting here today, and then I'm doing those same tasks for multiple clients. And so to me, a virtual assistant is really somebody that is helping the person that they're serving run their business. Now, I know that the big thing now is that you want to make sure that you're really being more specific about who your ideal client is or the kind of services that you're going to provide. So, the niche or niche is what people are really trying to get virtual assistants to hone in on. Say, okay, let's figure it out, so that you can be very specific about what you're going to be providing to your potential clients. But when you do that, do you get away from what a virtual assistant was intended to be? I feel like, in my mind, so just as when I think of a virtual assistant, it's basically what I just described. And when I think of someone that is more say specific where they only do say one thing. So like a social media manager. Some social media managers, I'm saying managers because I mean, that's kind of what, that's the going term. Some will say, well, I'm a virtual assistant and all I do is manage your social media. Well, then are you really a virtual assistant or are you a social media manager? Because in my mind, if I'm going to hire a virtual assistant, which I do have an assistant, I don't utilize her just for necessarily one thing. I use her for multiple things. I use her almost like as an operator, like she helps me run my business. So anything that I might need that's going to help me to move the needle forward for my business, I'm going to ask her to do those administrative things. So if you're a social media or if social media is your main focus, should you, I'm going to say that, should you be saying that you are a virtual assistant who only does social media? Or should you be coining a different phrase as in social media manager or social media coordinator or social media specialist or whatever you want to come up with? The same thing for, I've seen some people will say that, okay, they're focused on Pinterest. So I'm, going to help you grow your business on Pinterest. I'm a VA. That is my specific skill set or my specific service is around Pinterest. But are you really a virtual assistant? And that is the thing that I struggle with when I see in these groups or in the comments. Because I feel like when you make the term so broad, like the virtual assistant term has become so broad, and I really feel like that it has gotten away from its purest form, you start getting people thinking that anybody can do it. And I truly do not believe that anyone can be a virtual assistant. Not a good one anyway. And that's what I feel like is, for lack of a better word, lacking in the industry. You have virtual assistants that might charge $5 an hour, and then you have virtual assistants that might charge a monthly retainer. That's a really big range, and I feel like it's too big of a range, and I feel like there needs to be more specifics and more kind of like honing in on what really is a virtual assistant. And obviously I know that it comes in all of your marketing and your communications, and that's what people I think are trying to do. But using the term virtual assistant in that marketing, if you truly are not being a virtual assistant, is the wrong thing to do. In my mind, I think that there are 3 elements to being a good assistant, not even just a virtual assistant, but an assistant, an administrative assistant, whether you are working for a corporation or you are working for yourself. And that's a whole nother topic actually, because you could be a freelancer, or you can actually be a business owner, entrepreneur. We'll talk about it next. We'll talk about that later. But so 3 elements that I think make a good assistant, virtual assistant. One is motivation. The motivation of being in service to your client. That to me is number 1. If you are the type of person that, yes, I want to be able to work from home. That's my motivation. And I'm going to become a virtual assistant because it doesn't need a lot of startup costs. This is not for you. Because a virtual assistant or an administrative assistant, anyone in an administrative support type role, you're there to service your client, whether that's in your corporation and you're working for your manager or your department, or if you are a virtual assistant and you're working for another entrepreneur. So yeah, just wanting to work from home and low startup costs is not a reason to become a virtual assistant. And I'm not saying any of this to be discouraging. I'm saying this to be realistic. You got to know what you're getting yourself into. And as a virtual assistant, as I'm a virtual assistant. I have clients that I actually serve, and then I'm also trying to grow my business on another side, another part. And as a virtual assistant, I have to really manage my time, because I know that my time is not my own time. My time literally belongs to my clients that I'm servicing. So when they have projects that are due, when they have trips that are coming up, or when they're planning for vacations, I have to work around their schedule. And no matter what anybody says, if you are servicing clients, that's the reality. Your time is still not your own. Just because I work from home, which I love to be able to do, but it's still not my time if I'm motivated by trying to give my clients top service. I'm going to put their time above my own time. And that is what makes a good assistant or virtual assistant. The second is knowledge and experience. Putting those two buckets together, because I know that there is a lot of training out there to become a virtual assistant, which is great. I'm all for training. I'm all for learning. I'm all for, professional and personal development. But if you can get all of the knowledge of how to start a business, or how to use QuickBooks, or how to use WordPress, that's great. That's knowledge that you would definitely need to have. But what about the experience that it takes to be able to think differently, and to be able to think ahead of your manager or your clients? See, that you can't learn by learning how to do QuickBooks or learning how to do WordPress. You can't learn that. You learn that by experience, and by doing that for your clients. Because even if you did it for yourself, you're doing it for yourself. So you're not getting the feedback and the interchange that you would get on what's working and what's not working, like you would with a client or a manager. So I feel like that's very, very important, and that's something that I feel like we kind of lack, which is some things that I want to be able to address because of the experience that I have. Because I know that you're gonna be surprised when I say this, but I have over 20 years of administrative professional experience. I've been in this game for a long time, when I was working for billion-dollar companies, as well as working for entrepreneurs and working for myself. So I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, and I want to share that with you. And then the last element that you need to make sure that you have is the proper tools. And that's where a lot of the training, the online training and things like that definitely can come into play. But you can't have all the tools and not have the right motivation and not have the right knowledge and experience. And so you have to keep that in mind if you are someone that is wanting to become a virtual assistant. You have to look at it not from just your standpoint. You have to look at it from your client's standpoint, because at the end of the day, they want to make sure that they're getting someone that is going to help them in their business, to advance their business. And yes, you can do projects, absolutely, but in my opinion, I feel that if you're going to be a project-based assistant, that you need to be more specific, and you need to say that you're a project manager, or like social media manager. I'm a social media manager, not saying that you're a VA who does social media, unless you're going to be offering all of these other skills, unless you're going to be offering all these other services. Because I know that a lot of times we try to say, okay, yeah, we offer all these services, but I'm just going to focus on this. So that's fine. I mean, you have to kind of be careful with that, because the market is saturated. And so if you just focus on that, like I would never, and this is just based on me, based on my entrepreneurial brain, based on my business brain, based on what I know I need in my business, I would never hire someone just to do social media. Not to say that others wouldn't, but I wouldn't look for a VA that says that they only do social media, if that makes sense. I mean, does that make sense? I would look for someone that is a social media manager, that I know that they're experienced in advancing my social media platform. That's what I would be looking for. Or if you know that you're good at customer relations management, so CRM. And so if I know that that's all you're good at, I would hire someone that is a CRM manager versus a virtual assistant that does CRM. So just, I want to keep that in mind, because I feel like so much is going on that becoming a virtual assistant is something that is really becoming popular. I've seen it in the comments that people are like, oh, you know, I really don't know, you know, how to go about being an assistant. But it's like, okay, well, if you don't know how to go about being an assistant, how are you going to assist someone else? There's only so much learning that's only so far. Learning is, I can't even talk. Learning is only going to take you so far. And then motivation and experience is definitely going to kick in. And that's why I say you have to be motivated first, then you have to have the knowledge and experience, and then you have to have the right tools. So just make sure that if this is something that you really are interested in, that if you don't have the experience of being an administrative professional and really being in that service industry, then you might want to rethink your strategy and what you're calling yourself. So I'm just saying, that's it. That's my opinion. That's all I have to say about that. I have a lot more things that I want to be able to chat with you guys, but I definitely want to know what you think about this video. So make sure to comment down below. And again, if you haven't liked or subscribed to my channel, make sure to do so. Turn on the notifications. And I guess that's it, guys. Until next time, see ya. Okay. Carolyn, just be cool. Just be cool. Just be cool. Hello everyone. It is Latoya here, and I'm excited to be chatting with you today. Hopefully you're feeling well and you are feeling encouraged. Oh, no. Okay.